This is Unit 7.6, which is Python programming, and this is your first lesson looking at programming using a text-based programming language. Before we move on with our programming, we will just recall some of our previous knowledge, and if we think back to programming in Scratch, we used broadcast and receive. In your first question, you need to answer what is broadcasting. Then you need to move your understanding into this unit, so it's still with programming, but you need to explain what is program. Then your next question is from a previous unit, name a block-based programming language. Now in Python we're going to be using text-based programming, and you need to be able to name a block-based programming language the way you link blocks together. And then from the start of the year you need to say what is cyberbullying. So you need to pause the video and answer these questions in your ePortfolio just to test your knowledge. You can pause the video and complete these questions. Hopefully you've got these answers. So a broadcast is when a message is being sent to one or more sprites in your game, and a program is a set of ordered instructions to solve a problem. Previously you've used block-based programming language and you've used Scratch, or you might have used Kodu. So they're block-based programming languages. Similarly you can use microbits, they're also block-based. So there are several block-based programming languages out there. We've definitely used Scratch in school. And cyberbullying is any bullying that happens across the internet. So hopefully you've got 4 out of 4 right with your knowledge recall. Moving forward to this lesson, we're going to try and understand how to program using Python, and we're specifically going to use a turtle, which is a drawing program in Python. So we're going to use the command words and understand what they do and how we use them. So you need to know what is a program, how to sequence information in that, and we're going to look at how we use an IDE for environment for programming. So we will eventually be looking at sequence, selection and iteration. They're 3 words that you need to know, understand what they mean, what they do, and how they're used in programming. So in your ePortfolio, you need to explain your definition of programming, what is meant by sequence in programming terms, and what are the advantages of using an IDE. So you can try this for a 30-second challenge with a partner, with a pen and paper. One person has a picture and the other person has to draw that picture. So you can't see what the picture is. One person has to describe that picture in words, and the other person has to be able to draw that picture, and hopefully after 30 seconds the instructions that you've given are clear enough that the person can replicate your picture without seeing your picture to be exactly as you have described it. So you need to think about the sequence of your instructions. That's the order of the instructions. Is it important to do certain bits of your picture first? So you can pause the video and give that a go. Okay, we're now going to open up the programming language, and that is Python. And on your computers it will probably be here in Start, Programs possibly, IT, Python 3.5, and then you're looking for the one that says idle, IDLE. And when you open that up, this is what you see. So you see Python, the version of Python it is. It doesn't matter if your version is slightly different to this one. So this is the version of Python 3.5.2. And this is the shell for Python. You can see these brown arrows here showing me that it's a shell. What I always do is now go File, New File. And it opens up another version of Python. And I just move this one to the left of my screen and this one to the right of my screen. And what I tend to do is press Windows and left key to move this to the left. And I click on this one and press Windows right. But I'm just going to leave it as it is here for the time being, so I'm coming back into this several times. So we've opened up Python, and then we've opened up the idle, the IDLE, or the IDE in many other programming languages, but we'll not worry about the naming difference in Python. So once we've opened it up, we're going to get started with our first bit of program. Now what I'm going to do is just do it on my version of Python in the idle without the brown arrows, and it's really important you do this to make sure it is this version. And we're going to write exactly what we see here. So I've got the word import turtle. Now it really is important that your spellings are correct here. Import, it's I-M-P-O-R-T. I see a lot of people put an N in here. It's definitely an M. And if we spelt it right, it will turn orange, which is going to help us understand that we have correctly typed it. And it's turtle. And then I can press enter. And now I need to create my turtle. And in this example, I'm going to call it Bob. So Bob equals turtle dot turtle. Open bracket, close bracket. Now again, this is really important, the spelling. I see a lot of people spell this incorrectly and then it doesn't work. And also you need to look here that I've got a lowercase t first, and then this T for turtle is a capital T. Again, that's important. So I've got turtle.turtle, open brackets, close brackets. And then I can press the enter button again, or the return key, and I've got wn equals turtle dot screen, open brackets, close brackets. Again, look at the lowercase t all the way through here, and then my capitals for these bits. Okay, lowercase t, lowercase t, lowercase t. So that's exactly what we've got there. And that's our first bit of code written. First bit of code. So what I'm going to now do is just test this as I go. And when I click run module, this tells Python to run this bit of code. So I've clicked run module, and it's going to ask me if I want to save this, or I need to save this. So I click OK. Now there's a couple things here. It really is important that we save this correctly. Now this is trying to save it in my local Python files. I don't want to save it in there. I actually want to save this to my desktop and then to my Python folder. You can save it to your My Documents. So you can save that to your file. So I'm saving this in Year 7 Python. I've made a folder called that, and I'm going to call this drawing. And I always put in the file extension at the end, .py for Python. So I've called it drawing.py. It's really important that I do not call this Python, or I do not call it turtle. Alright, otherwise we will have problems. So I've called it drawing.py and save. And because I've saved it, it's now going to run my program. And we can see it running on the right hand side in the shell. It's actually done nothing so far. Okay, it's just done that. So I'll come back to that later. I'm now going to add to my program. So the next stage I've got, in fact, this is what it's done. It's opened up the Python, and here is my turtle right in the middle when it's run it. Right, nothing else. It's just done exactly what my code has done. It's imported the turtle, so I've imported the library for turtles, so it's got all the instructions it needs. I've called my turtle Bob. Bob equals turtle.turtle, open brackets, close brackets. wn equals turtle.screen. So this wn bit is making my screen for my turtle, which is this bit here. This is my screen. Okay, and there's my turtle right in the middle. So I'm going to close my turtle screen at the moment and move on to the next slide. So now I'm going to give my turtle some instructions. So going back to my code, I'm going to add these bits in here. So whatever my turtle's called, I've called it Bob. Bob dot forward brackets 150. Now again, spelling is really important here. Many times I've seen people spell forward wrong. They often miss out the R. So make sure you've got that R in the word forward. So bob.forward 150. And then I can, as the screen has got here, bob.backward. And this time we're going to go backward 100. So I can again run this, run module. It's going to ask me if I want to save. Because I've already saved this as drawing, it will save over that file. And what will now happen is you can see my drawing so far. This time I've got a line in my work. It's gone forward 150 and then it's gone backward 100. So this is where my turtle has ended up. We can see that I've drawn a line. I've gone forward and I've gone backward. So that's exactly what we wanted to achieve in our turtle so far. So we can see that I've drawn a straight line and gone backwards. The next stage is changing our numbers to say how far we want to turn right or left. So what I'm going to add to this is a bob.right. Now you mathematicians there will understand that 90 refers to 90 degrees and therefore we've turned 90 degrees right. And what I can then do is put a bob.forward and I'm going to go forward 150. So again, when I run this, run module, it's going to ask me to save. I click OK. I bring up my turtle. It will automatically load in a second or two. Here we go. And this is what I've now created. So it started here in the middle. It went forward 150. It went backwards 100. Then it turned right 90 degrees, which is this right angle here. So it's turned right 90 degrees, then gone forward 150. So we can see our instructions here and we can see what we've drawn in our window. Okay, we've also got a bob.left and I can go 90 degrees left and I can then tell it bob.forward and again I can go 150 forward. Run module and save it and we can see it refreshes. It will open up a new window and you can see exactly what it's done following the instructions one after another. So it's completed these instructions in sequence. If we look through what we've got here, we've imported the turtle library, we've assigned our variable bob and we've given it turtle.turtle. So we've now called our turtle bob, and Windows, we've opened a screen for our turtle to move in. Then we've got bob forward 150, of which it did, bob backwards 100, of which it did, bob right 90, so turn 90 degrees, of which it did, bob forward 150, which it did, bob left 90, again it turned left 90 degrees, and then we went bob forward 150. So we can see exactly what we've done. Our Python turtle has followed our instructions in sequence. So far so good. So again, you can pause the video at any time and try each stage of this and let this build up and see what's happening. Just so we go forward, once you've completed this, your task is to be able to draw a square. So you need to think about the properties of a square, what angles are inside the square, the internal angles of a square, and you need to think how big you want to make your square. So we saw what 150 looked like on the screen, and we also saw what 100 looked like. It's up to you what size square you make, as long as it fits in your window. And if you've completed that, the fast finishers amongst you might be able to try and draw this double square. Okay, a square after another square. So you pause the video and try to complete your first drawing in Python. Excellent. Hopefully this is what you've produced. We've got our turtle screen, we've got our turtle called Bob, and we've told Bob to go forward 150. We've turned right 90 degrees, go forward 150, turn right 90 degrees, forward 150, right 90 degrees, and then finally the last line we go forward 150. So just a reminder here not to save your work as turtle.py or python.py. You need to save it as a sensible file name. So I called my first one drawing. Here, this is very sensible to call it square.py. Okay, that's what you've drawn. You've drawn a square, so it'd be worth saving it as square.py. If you have called it turtle.py or python.py, your program will not work, and you'll end up with a number of files inside your My Documents that need deleting before you can actually move forward with Python. So really important not to call it turtle or python.py. So hopefully you've created your square, and possibly some of you have created the double square. Even better if you have, so well done if you've got that far. Your next challenge is to try and draw this shape here. So we're going forward this amount, turn right, go forward, turn right, go forward. Then we've got another turn, and you need to complete this shape. So you need to draw these write these instructions to be able to draw this shape here. That is your next challenge, and again you can pause the video and complete that. Okay, now for a slightly more complex challenge. This is almost like a maze, and what you're going to need to do is give your Python turtle instructions to be able to navigate through this maze to be able to get to the treasure at the end. So what you can do is you can draw the maze, both sides of the maze if you want. That'll be really quite impressive, and then you can see if the person next to you can navigate through your maze with the instructions that you've given. Okay, so moving towards the end now, you're looking to find the correct words on the right and add them into your ePortfolio. So you've got a turtle is a small, and you need to pick one of the words here that is going to fit into this. That can be controlled using a simple list of, well, again, one of these words. The turtle carries so it's carrying something, which can draw something from this list as it moves. So that's what you need to add in. Again, you can pause the video and complete this task just before we move on. Hopefully these are the words you've got. So a turtle is a small robot that can be controlled using a simple list of commands. The turtle carries a pen which can draw lines as it moves. The word that we didn't need was shells, so we should still have shells left. So just to finish off, you might think, what does the command WN do? Why did we need this? You might be able to answer that. And it is opening up a window that the turtle can move in, or turtle can run in. What are the lines of code called in a program? And you should know that they are instructions. And the next item is to give an example of a line of code like this, where you have an object and a full stop, then the property, and then a bracket with the attribute, close bracket. So you've used lines of code like this in your lesson today, where you had something dot something, bracket, and then something else. Can you think of an example where you've written something along these lines? We'll just pause for a second while we come up with a solution. Okay, you might even have something like bob.forward 800. So here's the object, which is Bob. So we're controlling Bob. The property is we're telling it to go forward, and how far we want it to go forward is 800. So what you need to do today is remember to save your work in your ePortfolio. Show a screen print of your turtle working, add that to your ePortfolio, and save your work.